happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, October 25th. Even though I'm realizing now that the notification you probably got doesn't say that, but fix that in post. Yesterday was pretty interesting. Over on the sub, we saw a huge adoption of these Reddit collectible avatars, with some of them spiking to like 5 figures. So yesterday we hosted a talk with Franklin, and who's a big NFT trader, and kind of went on a little bit of a roadshow over on Twitter Spaces. But that aside, let's dig into what you're really here for: the gains, the losses, the memes, before we dive into the talk. So yesterday, someone shared Charlie Munger of Berkshire Hathaway, his massive BABA position. I personally have a friend who followed him on this trade, and so it's a little cathartic to see that Charlie Munger is getting crushed too. It's a little bit hard to see, but this is an age-old meme. If I sell, if I hold, if I, it's common experience amongst a lot of first-time traders, but I think it holds pretty true. And finally, some guy turned his 401k into a 301k. Thought that was pretty funny, but he seems to be using this old. It kind of feels like paper trading, but I guess just paper statements. That's all I got for you. Let's dive into the show. Let's go live. Yeah, still trying to work out the format on these pre-shows. So by all means, let me know if you like it, and let's move on over. Oh no. Oh no. Do you ever feel like you forgot something? Something as big as missing a title? That's how I feel right now. I think something's a little off with this title. Could be anything, who knows? But let's pretend it didn't happen and move on. Let's invite some people up here.
Hey now, good morning.
Morning.
I believe it's just one of those days. It's going to be a repeat.
Yep.
Yeah, I felt like everyone was moving slow. I run a pre-market chat over at Confused Money where we talk about stuff before this chat opinion. And we were talking about plays, and everyone was kind of giving plays out and stuff like that. So let's see how it goes.
All I know is, unlike yesterday, I was actually able to get my hand raised.
It being the 24th still presents a great arbitrage opportunity.
Could be.
Good morning.
All right.
I believe GM's coming out with earnings as we speak.
Play-by-play, please.
Well, unfortunately, I can't walk, chew gum, and do open heart surgery at the same time. So I'm about to be driving to school. So.
Well, it sounds like you need a better education.
Looks like they had a bit of a spike this morning. Just a little one.
Yeah, just a little. I think at the end of the day, these guys are going to be settling in either above 36 or below. And that's my DD. I have no play for guys.
They beat the bottom line, but said there's headwinds for the rest of the year.
That's like saying I have a shovel for snow, but it's going to snow a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think they're just BSing. They're going to be the same as Ford.
I know last night I saw an article. They were talking about how they had sold out of their pre-orders for their electric truck.
Didn't Tesla do that too?
I got a friendly story about this, actually. So if you look this up, it's now public information. It's in the news. Honda and General Motors had a partnership to make electric vehicles that went on for over a decade, and it ended up going so sideways that at the end of this partnership, General Motors threatened to sue Honda because of the lack of viable battery products that were presented. Like, basically, they invested a bunch of money in doing battery research together, and at the end of it, both partners were pretty upset. And I think it's interesting. I'm sure they've poached talent from Tesla by now, but it just kind of makes me wonder, where everyone's at on that electric vehicle and the battery lifetime. Where they're at in that technology now.
So you're saying Americans blaming Japanese? What's new? Vice versa.
I'm pretty sure that GM was still having a chip crunch, so they're delivering vehicles with options, but without chips to run said options, and then offering to recall the vehicle to have those chips installed when those chips become available.
I heard exactly the same thing. First-hand knowledge.
So like, I don't see them, let's say, not selling the vehicles. I see the vehicles still getting bought. I just don't know about delivery,
I mean, I don't know how happy I would be to get a car with heated seats, but the chip for the heated seats isn't in the car. And then, like, I live somewhere like, I don't know, Detroit.
I mean, if you buy a BMW, you got to buy a subscription service to it anyway. So, like, the difference in wait time is honestly minute when you're ordering a brand new vehicle that you got to wait 6 to 8 months to receive anyway. If we're talking about the chip manufacturers already have been stepping up their game, these chips are going to start becoming more and more available faster and faster. So it's not like you're going to be waiting 6 to 8 months after your vehicle comes in to get those chips. You'll probably get them within 30 to 60 days, I'd imagine.
And the dealerships are supposed to do all this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that'd be in your sales contract when you order your new vehicle. Because like I said, you're not going to go buy a new vehicle off the lot anywhere anymore. You're going to go and order that vehicle from the dealer pretty much. That's a lot of what everything's kind of come to. Even when I went to Honda, I bought my son a brand new four-wheeler this year. Honda doesn't even really stock their supply. They don't stock their salesmen. Like, you got to go in there and order your bike. Then you got to wait for it. It's got to get shipped, put together. You got to pay for all that, and then you can go pick it up. If you put it together yourself, void your warranty.
If we're talking about Honda, Honda's also just announced this morning that they're shutting down their lawnmower division. I don't know if that's going to have any bearing on the stock price, but
yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
They sell.
If I remember correctly, Honda does lawnmower engines. I don't think they actually make physical lawnmower devices, but they definitely have engines that they sell out to manufacturers like Black & Decker and so forth. I would imagine, at least.
Well, that wouldn't be far from the same motors that they'd be using for all their portable generators. And those portable generators are usually in high demand because they got a really good quality portable generator lineup.
Well, what you could probably assume or even expect to assume is that they probably took those resources from the lawnmower division to put in the generator division, or vice versa.
And robotics. So they're just
I got you.
basically
Appreciate it.
just downsizing their production into a smarter like SKU numbers. Like, what's the most performing SKU numbers, and let's get rid of the crappier ones. I would assume, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I don't remember the whole article, but I did read it this morning. I think they're moving some production from one location to another location to focus more on side by sides in South Carolina specifically, and then other equipment in a different area. I guess the demand for toys is larger in South Carolina, maybe, or it's just easier to ship them out of here.
So, just so you guys know, if you're trying to get your hand up, yesterday I couldn't get my hand up. Today it's not letting me invite people to speak. So there's an issue there still with Reddit.
Yeah, that would be too easy to just keep the features they already built.
Fix one thing, break another thing. If you guys have any good plays, put them in the comments, and we'll try to say them out or shout them out.
So HMC looks pretty good for stability at the level they're at with 22. Thinking that there might be some good room for the downside till about 20. When that will play out is a good question. I have no idea. I'm not a psychic. But I do feel like if this is going to get some momentum back up, they still need to fill some gaps towards the bottom, if you believe in that kind of metric.
What's up, everybody? So I was just saying, take a look over at Wix. I was listening to old Kramer, and he was talking about Wix. And at first I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But then I started reading some article from Simply Wall Street, and they were actually like doing an FCF growth chart, basically showing that it can really be hopping up. And also I was looking into it, and they got a few other companies that are going along with it, kind of like basically backing them up. So once they basically what I'm trying to say is I would wait a few more minutes for the stock market to open up, because looking at it, it does dip down a little at first, but then like just skyrockets up. If you guys take a look, it's Wix.com, and yeah, I'm looking to make some plays off of that shit. So good luck.
So you're bullish. So you're bullish on Wix. So give me a good reason why you're bullish on Wix, and I'll give you why I'm not bullish on Wix.
That is 100% fair. Honestly, it was just from like the articles I was doing a little reading this morning. I was reading a little bit of the Yahoo Finance, as well as just, like I said, some Wall Street Journal shit. And just from what they were showing me from the FCF growth chart, that's just the only thing I'm bullish on, to be honest with you.
So, WYSIWYG website makers. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
If I could just jump in there,
yeah, please.
To bolster your claim a little bit. Starboard Value posted a PowerPoint presentation, I think this month, and Wix was one of their top picks. Just posted it in the comments section if you want to check out the PDF. Some of the things they're highlighting is like strong do-it-yourself website development platform, 110% retention, global presence, 230 million users, and cheap valuation. That's some of the things they state.
How does one have 110% retention? They're not losing it and growing at 10%? What does that mean?
And I was just going to say,
no idea, man. No idea. It's slide 9.
The only way I feel like they could hit 110% is if they have return customers, like doing a second website.
I may have misinterpreted that. I may have misinterpreted that.
What was that one fella's deal? You were talking about like doing another bullet or a reason against it. I just wanted to hear your reasoning.
The PowerPoint's in the comments if you just want to check out the whole deck.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So,
All right. Appreciate you.
So here are my thoughts on Wix, and I'm in the tech industry. So I've done very, very long time ago Wix website. So if anyone has heard anything called WordPress before, this is essentially your modern day WordPress. So one of the big things that I see Wix have itself going for is the inability to export and or remove their website off their platform. So they kind of lock you in because once you create a website on Wix, to my knowledge, there's no easy way to get it off. and put it somewhere else, like on a separate server or even on WordPress or wherever you choose to be. So that's why I can imagine retention numbers being so high. The bearishness I have on it is, well, if you look at any other e-commerce platform, because I think Wix does potentially, and maybe somebody can correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure they do some sort of e-commerce platforming, or at least assist businesses on their e-commerce side. I mean, take a look at Shopify and tell me how they're doing post-pandemic craze when it came to e-commerce as a whole. So I think from a website generation and stickiness perspective, they're a very good product. I've used it before, but in terms of revenue generation, I'm not sure if their revenue model can support whatever features they're offering, considering sometimes, website hosting, depending on which cloud provider you go for, can absolutely be free if you know how to do some basic programming. So I think that's where they're taking advantage of the majority of their customer base, where they couldn't write a line of HTML or JavaScript for the life of them, but they like the pretty colors and graphics, we should say. So I think Wix has a good business model. I just don't know if their revenue generation is going to be as fruitful as people might seem out to be. Now, is it an undervalued stock? I'm not sure. I have to go look at that deck, but I feel like there have been many people in this space before, such as WordPress, most predominantly, that have had, to my recollection, but I've done also WordPress sites for a very long time. Well, back in the day, they weren't that profitable, and they had a lot of security issues.
So their main pitch is looks like cost savings, so laying off some of the workforce because they're bloated compared to their peers, and opportunity for cost savings or turnaround if management gets switched around. That's what I'm kind of getting out of the some.
I just want to add 2 cents on there. The reason why you should be bearish on this stock is I was literally in a client's portal, if you want to call it that, and someone who stepped away from web design and development, mostly on the back end. The UX experience was just terrible. They wanted to build a parallax website and they couldn't even make their idea come true. And furthermore, porting the domain name was like a hassle just for them, and they really tried their best at it. So on that aspect alone, I don't feel like it's that flexible. I feel like WordPress could still hold weight on that. And that's my 2 cents there. And then also, I'm not trying to divert the conversation by any means, but someone did post a Snap 12023 7 put. Just we're going to read the plays. And that's all I can see for now. And Hardy did post his plays too right now. If you want to go check that out.
Yeah, I'm in that snap play as well.
Well, thanks, fellas. I appreciate the input.
Any other plays?
I have a play. So, Adidas and Kanye severed their partnership, and recently Kanye severed his partnership with another company, Gap, and Gap has gapped up, no pun intended. I think Adidas will do the same. I think Kanye is dead weight, and sure, they're losing a lot of market share. I think the article I read said they're going to be missing 150 million a year in revenue, but I think that was priced in pre-market this morning, and then the tendies will soon follow.
High up in the comments posted that RTX beat EPS and revenue, and then also want to let you guys know there's a snap play suggesting that 12023 7 put, as I mentioned earlier. And then Hardy's plays are posted once again, and that's all we have on here. And then somebody posted that Nokia will be the next meme stock. And the snap play was in the comments if you want to scroll down and check.
Hey, good morning, guys. So I'm in Southeast Asia right now, and I just want to get a rough feel about what do you guys think about Google, and especially about their earnings, because I know for the past 2 quarters, their earnings have been quite. I mean, they've missed their earnings, and I think they're gonna miss this time round. And I don't want, and I'm about to short Google or Alphabet. So I was just wondering what you guys think, because I had a very bad customer service experience. They promised to get back to me in 92 hours, and then it was more than 92 hours and they still didn't get back. So and that was to run Google ads or ads on Google. So if I'm the only one that's I'm not sure if I'm the only one that's experiencing this, because I didn't spend a single cent for over a week. And I'm not sure if this is because they have been cutting down their manpower and all that. So if that's the case, then I would guess lesser people are running ads. And if that's the case, then, their earnings will be shit. So what do you guys think?
I think that you're basing customer support on one person that is not the company.
And it seems like and also with Google advisors, they only seem to care about you if you spend a certain amount of money. So they don't seem to give a shit if you don't.
Yeah, so you need to spend some more money and they will contact you back. That's the secret.
So that's why I didn't want to make a decision based out of cognitive bias, However, I was trying to find a way to spend money, but their customer service was really terrible in not transferring me to the right department to spend money on the Google platform. So, I mean, I guess I might be the only one. So I'm not sure if anyone else here has experience with trying to get help over at Google.
So their automated solution didn't help you out. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to call some people for you.
I'll just say that it doesn't matter how much money you want to pay Google, they don't care about your insignificant amount of money. You could be like, I want to give Google $1 million. And they're like, buddy, that's literally nothing to us. See you later.
We had the same setup last quarter when Snap dumped on earnings. Everyone's worried on the marketing budgets, and then Google's doing fine. Now, that extra 3 months make the difference because the market didn't seem to learn. Snap recovered, tanked in the exact same way. Google, in the exact same way, sympathy dump. So I wouldn't be shorting Google here, but I'm also not playing their earnings. I do have 2 actual plays, though. Said this one a while ago, performing insanely well. TBT is the ticker, ultra short 20-year treasuries, 2x leverage, performing like crazy. It's up 112% on the year. 6 months, I believe it's up like 60-70%. It's ticking up 1 or 2% a day with minor pullbacks. I'm just going to add to it every pullback. The calls are printing. I mean, it's just doing it right now. And I don't see these bonds straightening up for at least a couple months. So I'm going to probably play this for 2 or 3 more months. Second play to go along with that is I'm just going to, get that extra $2 on Twitter if I can, hopefully on Friday.
I do see that there's a Trash Panda has his hand up in the audience. So is Rocketman, Crailface, etc. Opinion. So I don't know if there's.
Yeah, the mods, Weeb and I cannot invite people up, so it's a lot on opinion this morning.
I'm doing my best.
Can you repeat the ticker for the bond play?
TBT. That's the 2x leverage. I think there's another one that's not leveraged. I think someone else have to give it to you though. I don't know it. I think it's TCL maybe, but don't quote me.
Yeah, got it. Thanks, man.
Hey guys, what's this nonsense going on Chinese stocks? I don't get why the re-election of Xi Jinping, which was expected, caused like a collapse in the tech sector, especially the EV sector, like companies like XPeng and NIO. They are amazing companies, what's the game here? What's the play?
Because
when
he's
you
against
are
technology.
a communist business owner and you make money, the Communist Party makes money, not you.
Well, Xi Jinping is not going to downplay his technology by any means. I think you need to stop listening to Western media so much, with all due respect to anyone's bias assumptions here. I mean, they still needed GDP at the end of the day, and that was one of their strong legs to stand on, essentially. So I don't imagine that it's really as bad as it seems. But at the same time, I digress from that because it could be as worse as it is. I mean, we're still wondering where Jack Ma is. I know somebody mentioned that not too long ago yesterday, and I heard from him, but some people haven't heard from him in regards to seeing him in the news outlets. So I think it's just about the media sources that you're reading maybe can kind of create a bias assumption about certain sectors in China.
So is anyone loading discounted stocks of China at this point? Because yesterday, for example, I just added very small amount of shares, but Neo and XPeng, I think they are amazing stocks, and we are basically transitioning to an EV era globally, and these two companies were far ahead a lot of other companies. Even if you compare with the European auto sector, they came basically later. Obviously, the leading company was Tesla. So yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think Xi Jinping is against tech, and he's gonna basically dump. But basically, your GDP nowadays is depends on technology, right? And the major two economies are the U.S. and China, and both are basically leveraged so highly on tech. I do see a power issue where the Chinese Communist Party sees the tech power, gaining more and more power, which competes and against
You
the
got any plays
politics.
for you got any plays, by the way, that you're planning
Yeah,
on?
yeah, I've been adding because I think it's so discounted right now, the EV companies at least. I don't want to play the Alibaba and Tencent. I already got hurt a couple of years ago. I bought these companies, but a few months ago I basically unloaded because it made no sense what was going on with the price of these shares. But I think EVs is a bit different role. They are not competing in terms of power with the Chinese Communist Party.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other plays?
I got one potentially. So there is a weed company in California that just had a class action lawsuit filed against them. They specifically aren't publicly traded, or I mean, they're kind of traded through an over-the-counter ticker. But so the play here is they were being sued about falsifying the THC content in their products, and the article I specifically read was talking about how this was a broader issue across the cannabis industry. So I think with this specific company, people might take a look at it and say, well, what about these other companies? Are they doing the same thing? So me specifically, I have $3 puts on Tilray, but it remains to be seen whether this lawsuit will trickle down across the cannabis industry.
So does nobody have a play on Microsoft or Google? Well, we talked Google, but Microsoft, no one's playing that. That's after
Yeah,
hours.
I'm debating. I'm actually debating Microsoft still up until this moment. I'm slightly bullish, I would say. I think their cloud earnings or their cloud computing division is really going to save them again. But I'm definitely bearish on the product side regarding physical devices like Surface, Xbox. Any sort of subscriptions, I think, are probably going to drop in volume or in subscribers just due to the nature of the cyclical cycle we're in the economy. But I mean, overall, I think Azure is really what's gonna take it to the finish line in terms of a good earnings. But their outlook might be bearish, which is why I'm also kind of hedging away. You could put strangles on Microsoft, but you need to have a decent 5 to 7% implied move to even make it worth your while. But I'm slightly bullish. Anybody got any bearish sentiment towards Microsoft?
The only thing I would say about Azure is they have that classic drug dealer model where the first one's free. They give away a lot of Azure credits.
Yes, they do.
But it seems to be working out for them, right? But I just wonder, it's like they can probably scale and just continuously give away compute to capture customers. So it's probably not an issue. But I mean, my question is, what's their cost of acquisition compared to, say, Google or Amazon? And so I wonder if eventually they'll start to lag those guys in the cloud divisions. I don't know the answer. It's just
Well,
something
I
I've
mean,
been thinking about.
no, it's a good point, and I work with Azure pretty much daily. So I think from a performance or a product offering perspective, they're very close to AWS and Google. I wouldn't say they're as good as AWS personally. They're probably, I'd say, within feet of range in the race, but they're not, they're not nose to nose in all regards. But they are very, very good. I think they're really, really trying to sell themselves on the enterprise level and not on the Silicon Valley level, to my knowledge, just because a lot of big firms, banks, insurance companies, they all came from a Microsoft based background where everybody ran Windows, everybody ran the .NET framework, and then kind of transitioned to what it is today. And server management is expensive, right? Server managers is costly, so I think AWS as well for Amazon's earnings will definitely take them to the finish line as well, because companies are still in the process of operating, or transitioning away from on-prem to cloud. So I'm also bullish on Amazon as well. I would say equally, or maybe even a bit more bullish than Microsoft, just because they've got so many more product offerings in the Amazon side. But I think Microsoft is still such a strong blue chip competitor. So if anything, I'd be very much open to seeing calls, and I probably might do in the money calls on Microsoft, but that's just me.
I'm very
good.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to read some plays from the thread real quick. MVEB, MWL, Rubbermaid, Sharpie, bullish earnings Friday, and in PH, good quarter. That's from Leap and Leopard. 500 shares on ABML at 6.6950 for alternative slip. Pooh Costco is saying Netflix November 11th, 240 call. Lenche, you can read the username. Buying shares of CCBG doesn't dip below 80 EMA. And upset surprises going in on JetBlue, which is earnings today, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. $7 put, 1028. Ford, $13 call, 1028. And then also buying AT&T, $18 call for 1028.
Yeah, I'm bearish on on Apple, given that we were talking about big tech. I think it's the only stock that basically has kept the S&P, high, to say so. So yeah, I have puts on the 140 range, and I expect some negative outlook in the upcoming earnings.
I guess WhatsApp is down right now. So puts on Meta says, okay, Strawberry.
Because of WhatsApp being down, which, as far as I know, they haven't managed to make profitable at all.
That makes no sense. Short because the app is down? Come on.
And specifically WhatsApp, they have yet to be able to monetize the app in any sort of way, as far as I know.
I'm just reading plays, guys.
I mean, we're not trying to kill you. We're trying to kill them through the messenger.
Fine, no problem. There's someone that likes Costco. What do you guys think about Costco? Costco, technically speaking, was there's no play on it.
I'm incredibly bullish. I have shares in my Roth IRA, and I think they're a better subscription service than Amazon is.
And why do you think they're a better subscription service? And if you were to play them, would you play them on the add more, or do you think there's some downtrend for them, or what?
I think, they have a model where they can create an extreme amount of liquidity. And I fail to see any other business in America, at least, that offers as many services as Costco does in one succinct price. And I think the only things being priced into their stock, I think, are things that contribute to their growth rather than inhibit their fundamentals.
Well, they haven't raised the price of the hot dog since the '80s, so you know what? I've been bullish on Costco for a while. I think they're not a recession-proof stock, but they definitely are going to hold up well during a recession. People still need to eat and buy, necessities. So I'm sitting on that.
Also, I think this was like last week or something, but we were talking about Costco's international business, and I think it was said, and I'll do further research on this, that like over 90% of their stores are cash solvent. Not to mention they're doing like the big business play. They have their own credit card and everything. So I think they're creating more money than they could be losing in a recession.
So when you say their own credit card, you're saying like they have a credit card through like MasterCard or Capital One, correct?
I believe it's Citibank.
So Citibank. So basically, they
You're right there. I think we might have lost them.
I'll just mention some plays real quick. Zug's weighing background says Chipotle with a burrito emoji, so I assume he's bullish. Tyson Krug Comedy recommends Costco, and Ranger McClure is saying that IG is being busted lately, whatever that means.
sounds like you'd go for puts on that one, maybe.
All right, I'll bring up a play. It's gonna be a little boring though, so I apologize. Companies Denison Mines, ticker DNN. They're, like I said, a mining company. So the thing it's just really a shares and leaps play. The thing that's particularly interesting about them, they're up in Canada trying out a mining method that's pretty used around the world. You inject a liquid solution into the ground that dissolves what you're looking to get, you pull it back out. It's pretty straightforward. Most mines use it. It's never been done in Canada because Canada has really porous soil where they are. And if you put a liquid into porous soil, it goes through. Essentially, they're coming out with new tech that permits this to be used in their area. They've been doing small scale testing on it, which has been successful. They just finished up a very large scale testing on it. They've been able to recover the materials they're looking for. And now they're just seeing if they can get back enough of the liquid to hit environmental standards. That should be out end of the month, early next month is what they're saying. They'll have that info. The reason I specifically like this is because they're coming out with a much cheaper method to use in their area. It makes them a great company for either buying up everything around them that isn't feasible, that will become feasible when they have this tech, but then also the bigger companies near them are going to look to acquire because they're going to want to just purchase them for the ability to do this. So it's a company I've just been adding to over time.
So you're bullish because they're coming out with this method, but there is the possibility that they complete the test and they find out that they're not able to extract enough of the solution back to meet environmental standards, correct?
Every small scale thing they've done has shown that they can keep it contained enough to meet the environmental standards and they're not having leak through. There is the risk that they could mess up, and then on the bigger scale, they find out they can't do it. But that's what gives it the upside, right? A lot of that pricing is putting in the fact that this hasn't been done in their area and that people think it might fail. But it's got that other side of if they pull it off, then they get one of the lowest cost production methods in their area. And then some big players near them are going to turn and say, hey, let's just buy them because that comes with the ability for us to now mine it a fraction of the price we're paying to pull stuff out the ground. And we get that tech with them. So it's kind of both ways.
Sorry, what's the ticker?
Denison Mines, DNN, David, Nancy, or I guess for more last we can go Dick, Nipples. Just keep it WallStreetBets.
Thanks.
I have a couple of plays for end of week. All these are. I've got $24 puts on Intel for end of week, and I also have $11.74 puts on Ford for end of week. I don't see them them having good earnings, especially Ford. I just don't think that they've recovered from the chip shortage just yet, and I think that the way that dealerships are doing stuff right now, where they're getting all these people's orders and then getting them on the lot and not giving them to the people that they ordered and just selling them for a markup, is really not good for their business. So I'm pretty bullish on that play.
All right, just a real quick update on the plays. Looks like Karabaras, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your username, BNTX 10,000 increase in 2023. They say they're trading at the 2-week low. Helpful Haya says puts on COF. Lee Lex Guy 69 says Roku calls. And then it looks like Blue Cord Lead 5 puts on GE, puts on ABB. Nautica 511 calls on Exxon, which is XOM ticker, and Chevron, which the ticker is going to be CVX. Big Weasel Steve says Amazon 121 puts for 1028 for a 20% profit. And then PFIX, pretty interesting read on that. If you want to go check out the comments, he's got some good insight on that.
Okay, I have one strong bet. I'm long on this stock. This is Kion Group, KION Group. The ticker. This is a German company, by the way. It is trading with the ticker KGX. This is basically one of the top leaders in this how do you say supply chain industry. They also acquired a few years ago one of the main softwares. I think there are only 3 big softwares that are in the market, basically holding almost overall global market share. And they acquire one of these software, and they also manufacture handling equipment for logistics, warehouses and infrastructure. And obviously with the e-commerce booming in the next years, this is a good play. I bought it because it's basically down 70% or even more. I think it's 80% from its peak. PE ratio is now 6. Dividend is close to 8%. There has been no fundamental change in the company. It's purely because of the sentiment in Europe that winter is coming, and I already talked about this 3 times ago that obviously it's going to be hard. So, but for the long term, this is a big opportunity to basically have a company that you can easily make a 5x return as soon as it recovers back on track.
Bro, 5-bagger, I'm in.
What was that ticker again?
The KGX. I bought the one trading in the Germany exchange. I'm not sure if they have an ADR in the US, so it's trading in euros currently at 20 euros, 20.88.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's not on Robinhood. I'll have to see if it's on Thinkorswim. If not, you said it's European, so I could trade it through the Swiss exchange, right? It's a European stock.
Actually, I can see this is trading in the Dutch bourse, so Germany. It's also trading in VIE. Is this Austria? Maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, if you don't, I didn't know that Robinhood basically only allows you to trade US stocks.
No, they have a limited number of ADRs on Robinhood. Thinkorswim has a lot more tickers on it than Robinhood does. But sometimes, if I can't find it on those two, I've got a European broker that I also use. So I'll jump over there if I need to.
Okay.
Sorry,
I
I
got
hopped in late this morning, but I did hear that expectations for the GDP are it's supposed to they're showing signs of growth, not retraction again. But I'm not too confident in that.
I read an interesting article yesterday from the Ukrainian Praska. It was on Yahoo concerning Texas Instruments, who goes off after hours today. I'm pretty sure they're going to beat, so I'll wait till after earnings. There's a report that their semiconductors or their products are being found in Russian military devices still, and their website still includes their Russian Moscow office and a current Russian phone number. Analog Devices also did business with Russia. They pulled out in March, but Texas Instruments has remained neutral. So that report, to me, I'm surprised it didn't gain much more, I want to say, just newsworthiness in the U.S. So after earnings, I'm definitely going to be bearish on Texas Instruments, waiting for some bad PR.
Texas Instruments is supplying the enemies of freedom. You heard it here first, folks.
TXN. They do go off after hours. They beat in June, but their inventories were up. So, just like everybody else, they seem to be having trouble selling tons of them. But wow, that's a very interesting article. And it cites more than one country finding their components in the devices, including Royal United Services Institute in London. So very interesting read.
Can you share the article, please, on the chat?
Just a quick update on the
I will
comment
try.
section. Starbucks walked out the union deal making yesterday from Cheek Butt Nanners, and Scoops for Me said ESG lingo from the banks. Well, we should talk about that sometime. Calls on PRTY, also from Scoops for Me. PR33N says PayPal.
PTRY is below market cap.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for that. Please forget that last comment. Thank you from me about that ticker. So we're going to move forward. PYPL, which is PayPal bullish. Inflation is not an issue for them, supposedly. And I digress.
I mean, he's got a point, right? Like PayPal makes their money on fees. So isn't inflation, they're inflation neutral, right? Because their profits would always be a fixed fee and rise in line with inflation.
They're not
Only-
inflation neutral. In the event
only
of
if
inflation increasing, Scald could reduce the volume of transactions flowing through PayPal. Therefore, be
Yeah,
bearish on them.
I was about to say that last part, but yeah,
Oh,
you
sorry.
got it. No, you make a great point. If inflation gets so hot, consumer spending declines, then yeah, it definitely will affect their fees.
How corollary is PayPal with the crypto market?
About as much as Robinhood. The crypto holdings in PayPal custodied wallets are laughably small.
Any other plays?
I did post that Texas Instruments article link into the comments.
Thank you, sir.
So going back to PayPal, he said it was bullish. So I know, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, they had that huge, I'm putting this in air quotes, scandal about the fees for if you said something they didn't like. So are we expecting to recover from that? Because I know they took a hit with that when people started canceling their accounts.
Just some recent plays in the comment section. We got UPS 175 call, 1028. UPS beat earnings from upset surprise 7951. Calls on Tesla, mentioned by Flens 0512. Contribution Fund says wants to know why Mara Digital's recent upswing. Upset surprise 7951 comes in with a KO $62 call for 1028 and says KO beat earnings, which would be Coca-Cola.
What's the ticker for Mara Digital?
MARA.
Also, Discover After Hours did report earnings yesterday. They were showing increases in charge-offs of 0.25%. They allowed 4 times the amount for bad debts written to the side or put aside than they did last year at this time or last quarter at this time. So I still have their puts in play. I am still playing more puts for Capital One for this week for the same reason. Capital One is COF. Discover Financial Services is DFS. David, Frank, Sam. They actually have showed a little more activity after hours than they usually do to the downside by about 1 to 3%, and expect them to go down more today. Also, tomorrow morning, PAG and ABG, 2 of the 4 auto plays, report pre-market. That's Penske Auto Group, Paul, Apple, George, PAG, and they're the ones I'm really interested in the most, of course, out of the 4. And then Thursday we have more to go off.
Nice. Thanks, Helicopter. There's also Adidas. Sorry, did we talk about Adidas already?
I
Today, no.
Oh, because they just dropped Yeezy, and so they're down like another 9% probably. So
I fully believe that could be pricing and the revenue loss from the manufacturing and distribution of Yeezy products, but I think Adidas will follow a similar pattern in their stock that Gap did when they severed their partnership with Kanye.
Have we talked about Baba yet?
go for it.
No, sir.
So my question is regarding Xi and Chinese tech stocks. Why is the notion that Xi has like a war against Chinese tech? What's that thing about?
Propaganda. US propaganda.
Oh, okay.
Just
the
a
US
quick
was a huge propaganda.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ollie.
Sorry about that, guys. Just from the forum real quick. Hi, I'm Ben. Suggests Square, now known as Box. I'm not sure if that ticker is going to change over time. He is suggesting this over PayPal. So Square over PayPal. ENACHM, I'm going to try to pronounce that. Nut 1991 wants to know what everyone thinks about FUBO. And then also, Soft Spoken Clark says calls on Apple 150C next generation model, but has no date in there. So maybe he could put a date in there for us. Speaking rumors about some USB 4. Go ahead and read in the comments.
Hey, real quick, can you bring me up on my other account? Because I'm on my computer.
Got about 9 minutes, guys. Anybody else got some plays? Talk about some earnings coming up.
Until we do, I'll shout out the fact that we just hit 100 followers on Twitch, and I think we're at like 300, 400 subscribers on YouTube. So cheers, guys.
Nice. Great work, Opinion.
So Cameco has earnings on Thursday. So hopefully they'll have some pretty good news, but they should, at least in theory, based on the news that's been coming out in their sector, be announcing some more contracting and restarting of some of their mines that they've had shut down recently because they weren't getting enough orders put in. So that might be a bit bullish. Last year in January, I think it was, their earnings, they announced more contracting than people expected. And you can see on the chart, the stock took a pretty big jump, as did that sector. So if that happens again and the news that's been coming out kind of tracks, they should see a bit of a jump especially since they took a recent hit because of an acquisition, which they've now finished funding, so they should be done dropping from that.
I'm keeping all my shorts on the indexes, Europe plus SPY, because seems like now in the news everything is positive. We are rallying, celebrating, but the signal that was given to the UK, given that basically they had to make a U-turn after meeting with the IMF and the G7, where basically the Chancellor of Finance returned to the UK unemployed. It's the signal is clear. Basically, QT in the G7 countries and increase of interest rates. So I don't see why this rally should keep going up where they haven't even, let's say, started with the quantitative tightening, especially in the US. The Fed will keep reducing the balance sheet, and there are a lot of studies and charts that shows a clear correlation on quantitative easing or tightening with the stock market. So I think those, how much, 7 trillion is the amount they basically printed in the last years. They have to basically take it back from the market, and I don't see how this is a bottom for the bear market.
I agree with that. I also have shorts on the indexes, mainly XSP and SPX. But my reasoning is I'm a bit of contrarian. I'm waiting for Powell to pivot, because my understanding is when he pivots, to me, that's a clear sign that there's something wrong with the economy, that he's forced to pivot. So that's why I'm short the indexes.
It's very clear if you listen to their press release, all the central bankers, they repeat that they basically have to destroy demand. Okay, that's a clear message. So we will have to go through a recession. That's the only way to basically control inflation. Otherwise, this would be like, I don't know, first time in history that we see such a quick pivoting, because we didn't require to basically destroy demand to control inflation.
Do you know how they intend to destroy demand?
Yeah, by keep the interest rate,
That's the what. What's the how?
Well, that's the tools that they have. They have to basically tighten all this quantitative, thing, and keep increasing rates.
That's
because
a good
so
thought.
far,
the purpose of increasing rates is to increase unemployment, which means you need to keep an eye out for companies that are doing layoffs. That's how you know that the Fed will
and
start
as a
easing up on
consequence,
the
that
ratings.
destroys demand. Yeah, and as a consequence, that destroys demand
That is
in the
the how.
economy. So what do you mean? Then what's the answer of your
The how. So they're raising rates. That's the what, in order to increase unemployment.
And so what he's saying is that if unemployment numbers are staying low, even as they're increasing rates, it's not being successful. That's what Hardy is like alluding to. So if we're seeing a low unemployment number, which we have been seeing, despite rates raising, they're pulling the lever as hard as they can, and they're not getting the result that they want, right?
That means my reading is that then they will keep raising interest rates until they see the effect.
That's right.
So that's why I'm short.
Just to go back to that, you're saying they're pulling the lever as hard as they can. I think they can pull harder because interest rates are a lagging indicator, right? It takes not indicator, but it's a lagging factor that it takes 6 to 18 months to finally go through the economy. And only now we're just experiencing the first 1 or 2 rate hikes since they started. So the Fed knows that. So I think they know that with continual increases in interest rates that they've done back in March and so on, that we should expect unemployment numbers in a few months to go higher. My question is to Hardy, is that is it best, since Hardy said we should keep an eye on companies that are doing layoffs, is it best to just mostly keep an eye on REITs that are doing layoffs?
What do REITs have to do with layoffs as opposed to consumer discretionary or industrial or?
Well, any real estate development company that's doing mass layoffs.
I suspect it has to be across the entire economy. So if REITs alone can effectively triple the unemployment rate, which is approximately where the Fed wants to go, then yes. But it's unlikely all of the payments to be concentrated in REITs.
While we're talking about this, I do have an earnings play coming up here in the near term. Thursday morning, World Acceptance Corp. The ticker is WRLD. So that would be like Whiskey, Roger, Ledger. I don't know, something with a D. Anyway, they do consumer loans. They're highly overvalued right now. I've got puts on them. We'll see what happens.
You cannot come up with any reference with D as a man?
Delta. There we go, Delta. All right. Dogs. I could only come up with an inappropriate one.
How about Joel?
Could open. Good luck, boys. Don't lose too much money. Take care, everyone.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
Markets
Thank you, everyone.
open.
Thanks.
See y'all
Bye-bye.
later. Ding ding.